No personnel on the airdrome is allowed to come within 20 feet of us. I don't understand all this, as none of us knows where we're going as yet.
Marshalling Area C, 10 a.m. Later that morning, the men of the Canadian Regina Rifles are summoned to a briefing.
At ease, gentlemen.
The weeks of speculation and waiting are finally over.
This is the French coast where we're landing. Names of the rivers and the town are in code. Familiarize yourselves with this detail, gentlemen.
There is no doubt now that Glenn Dickin is going into battle, and that he will be one of the first ashore on D-Day.
The area to the east will receive the second wave of our advance group. Now, this is an area of key importance both to this operation and that of the whole war effort. Any questions? No. Godspeed, gentlemen.
The Canadians have a special reason to dread D-Day. In August 1942, 5,000 men of the 2nd Canadian Division had spearheaded an Allied raid on Dieppe with terrible consequences. Only 2,000 men returned. The rest were killed, captured, or wounded within the first few hours. In terms of the percentage lost, it was comparable to the first day of the Somme in 1916. Churchill, too, is haunted by memories of the bloodbath at Dieppe. So great are his fears of more terrible slaughter on the beaches that he has ordered British hospitals to be emptied, ready and waiting for the wounded from D-Day. Hendon, North London, 7 p.m. A crucial means of reducing casualties is to achieve surprise. If Juan Pujol's messages do not fool the Germans, then the entire military operation that everyone has been working towards will be in jeopardy. The Allies could easily have another Dieppe on their hands.
Tuesday, 30th May 1944. Message sent 19 runways across Drome and hangars east of Ipswich and Norwich Road. Saw 30 liberators and much activity. Message sent 1944 hours GMT. American 8th Air Force personnel and vehicles. Few American 9th Air Force personnel. Red Shield stop. Some 6th Army men.
There is one other thing that could disrupt even the best laid plan. The weather. That evening, it changes. By dusk, the clouds have parted and clear skies have returned. But it is an omen. The British climate, upon which, as much as anything, the success of the invasion depends, is an unpredictable master. Wednesday, May 31st, 1944, 6 days to D-Day. For more than a year, the fortunes of war have been shifting in favor of the Allies after the great victories in North Africa and at Stalingrad. In Italy, the British and Americans are getting ever closer to the gates of Rome. German troops are surrendering in their thousands. Nantes, France, 10 a.m. No word has reached Walter Schwender, the young German soldier stationed in France, of what's happening in Italy, let alone the entire world beyond. This morning, he has just had a swim in the Atlantic.
Dear all, today I received Mama's letter of the 23rd of this month. Many thanks. So the 2 parcels have already arrived. Well, that means the 3rd will also still get there. So it is still cold with you. And here, we don't know what to do anymore because it is so hot. Today, we are in bathing trunks. At the Whitsun, I was too pale, but I will try again. Well, that's all for today. Lots of love. Walter.
Château de Bordeaux, France, 2 p.m. Inland from Walter Schwender, British agent Sonia D'Artois is now based in the grounds of a chateau outside Le Mans. She has a job to do, rallying the resistance. Her cover is as a Parisian salesgirl recuperating from bronchitis. The Secret Service is well aware that pretty young women are suited to the world of espionage.
If there's two men going or one man going somewhere, he'll attract more attention than if he's with a woman or a girl. And she can flutter her eyelashes and give him a smile, and it's normal to see a couple.
Le Mans, France, 6 p.m. Later that day, Sonia D'Artois goes for a stroll. Even though she has a Colt pistol in her handbag, it is vital that she is seen out and about, behaving normally.
There was a table with a German officer sitting there, and if I had refused, it would have made it obvious. So the best thing to do was to sit down with them. I went to sit, my purse slid down onto the floor, and I knew that I had my coat in it. And he bent down, being a very polite German gentleman, to pick it up. And luckily, I managed to get before he did, and I picked it up. And I just put it behind me after that so that he wouldn't be aware of what was in it.
Thursday, June 1st, 1944, 5 days to D-Day. Back in Britain the following morning, it seems everything is in place. The weather is good. The fleet is ready. As officer in charge of the seaborne invasion, Admiral Sir Bertram Ramsay has 6,483 vessels under his command and responsibility for the lives of all who sail in them. He writes home to his wife.
Thursday, June the 1st. Darling Mag, the country is really looking lovely and the garden so gay. It is a tragic situation that this is just the scenery of a stage set for terrible human sacrifices and sufferings. But if out of it all comes peace and happiness, who would have it otherwise?
It will be one of Admiral Ramsay's ships that transports Glendicken across the channel to face the enemy. He, too, writes a letter home.
Dear Mom, I suppose all the spring work will be in full progress by now. I hope you have had the rain you've been eating so badly. So you still haven't had the veranda painted. I guess I'll have to get at that as soon as I get home.
Erwin Rommel, commander of the forces opposing Glendicken, has requisitioned the ancient Chateau de la Roche-Guyon, overlooking the River Seine, as his headquarters. Now the pressure is on for him to work out exactly when and where the invasion will come. Roche-Guyon, France, 1 p.m. He believes the Allies will land at high tide, giving the men the shortest possible distance to run ashore under fire. Why would Eisenhower do it any other way?
The only possible chance will be on the beaches. The major moments of weakness will occur during the actual landings and shortly afterwards.
Rommel consults moon and tide tables and sees nothing to convince him the invasion is imminent.
Danke.
But Rommel is wrong. For once, his military instinct has let him down. The Allies have deliberately chosen low tide. Although it leaves the invasion force further from the beaches, it reveals all the treacherous underwater obstacles placed in their way by none other than Rommel himself. And there is something else, something to flabbergast the Allied planners, should they ever find out. Rommel hopes to make a surprise visit home to Germany for his wife's 50th birthday. The next combination of high tide and full moon is weeks away. Perfect timing to leave his post for a short break to celebrate Lucy's birthday on Tuesday, June 6th, 1944. Thursday, June 1st, 1944, 5 days to D-Day. In England, everything is ready for D-Day. The troops are poised and armed, the fleet assembled. In utmost secrecy, the location for the invasion has been agreed, the coast of Normandy. British inventors have come up with secret weapons to win the battle for the beaches. The flail tank for clearing mines, flame-throwing tanks to spearhead the landings, the bobbin for laying paths across sand, shingle, and barbed wire, and the floating prefabricated Mulberry harbors, giant concrete boxes to be towed across the channel and used as docks to supply the invading troops. But there is a problem: the unpredictable British weather. The heat wave, expected to last for 2 weeks, is faltering. Low pressure is gathering over the Atlantic. If this pattern moves east, it will collide with the high pressure still hovering over Britain and the French coast. It will bring storms and a channel too rough to cross. There is no contingency plan to deal with the problem. South of England, 3 p.m. Now it's all up to one man, the Allied Chief Meteorologist, Group Captain James Stagg, who, with his American colleague Donald Yates, is summoned that afternoon to Supreme Allied Headquarters.
With the difference among the experts unresolved and bearing down as a heavy load on our minds, Yates and I returned that Thursday afternoon to the Advanced Command Headquarters for the final series of briefings. Both of us were too preoccupied with what lay ahead to notice much of what was going on along our route.
In Normandy, there is as yet no sign of a break in the sunshine. The French resistance is on its highest state of alert, waiting for the message to swing into action to support the invasion. Caen, Normandy, 5 p.m. Later that afternoon, André Heinz, the French resistance fighter, goes down into his cellar to listen to the BBC, a capital offense in the eyes of the Gestapo. His crystal set is hidden.
No. Godspeed, gentlemen.
The Canadians have a special reason to dread D-Day. In August 1942, 5,000 men of the 2nd Canadian Division had spearheaded the bloodbath at Dieppe. So great are his fears of more terrible slaughter on the beaches that he has ordered British hospitals to be emptied, ready and waiting for the wounded from D-Day. Hendon, North London, 7 p.m. A crucial means of reducing casualties is to achieve surprise. Headed an Allied raid on Dieppe with terrible consequences. Only 2,000 men returned. The rest were killed, captured, or wounded within the first few hours. In terms of the percentage lost, it was comparable to the first day of the Somme in 1916. Churchill, too, is haunted by memories.
This coast where we're landing. Names of the rivers and the town are in code. Familiarize yourselves with this detail, gentlemen.
There is no doubt now that Glenn Dickin is going into battle, and that he will be one of the first ashore on D-Day.
The area to the east will receive the second wave of our advance group. Now, this is an area of key importance both to this operation and that of the whole war effort. Any questions?
No personnel on the airdrome is allowed to come within 20 feet of us. I don't understand all this, as none of us knows where we're going as yet.
Marshalling Area C, 10 a.m. Later that morning, the men of the Canadian Regina Rifles are summoned to a briefing.
At ease, gentlemen.
The weeks of speculation and waiting are finally over.
This is the French.